There must have been 6 feet of bat guano on the
Just
floor of that attic. It was huge. It reminded me of Jurassic Park when they find that big pine.
I'm Dave Taylor with Real, and I'm hanging out with Ryan today.
I'm Ryan Hesselberg with Hess Home Inspection.
Nice. And how long have you been a home inspector?
7, 8 years. I think it's my 8th year.
Nice. Going into 2025?
Yes.
What made you decide to become a home inspector? It's not like it's something that it's on a normal high school path, right?
No, not at all. I was in manufacturing when I first started thinking about being a home inspector. I think I was doing the factory work for 8, 9 years.
Okay.
And that's when I really wasn't liking where I was at.
I get that feeling.
Yeah. So it just became kind of a journey to figure out what can I do, because I was so established in that world that just jumping ship was not feasible. I had started a family too, so that you got to think about those things.
Yeah.
And that's when I was browsing the internet and found home inspector. I've been involved in real estate and construction or something in that field. I'm like, this might be it. I had to find something that I could build without quitting my job.
Yes. And so you kept your main job and then started the business on your own, or did you go work for another home inspector?
I started on my own.
Nice. And
Yeah.
then nights and weekends type thing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of nights, weekends, but off days. My schedule was 4 days on, 4 days off most of the time. So
Okay.
I had ample time to schedule inspections.
Yeah, you literally just stick them in.
Stick them in where your days are off.
Yeah. And this is interesting because my path to being a realtor was very similar. I was working my corporate job and I started as a part-time realtor, building it up
Yeah.
because it does take some time before you have the money coming in to be sustainable. That's cool that you had a specific schedule and then you were able to stick it in. Do you think you made the right choice starting that way? Or do you think you should have just jumped into it?
Oh, I definitely made the right choice. As soon after I started, the market wasn't doing well. 2 years into it, the market went to shit and I had to stay in the factory job, but I continued to do the home inspection thing.
Yep.
And it just took a lot longer to jump ship.
How long roughly until you went full-time with the home inspection?
I never went full-time. I'm still not full-time with the
Really?
home
I didn't know that.
inspection. No, because I have other businesses, so.
You know what? Fair enough. How long into the process before you dropped your day job?
7 years, I think. 7 years.
Okay.
No, 6.
So
Yeah.
quite a while. Most
Yeah.
people would have either given up, I don't think this is working, I'll just stay at my day job.
Right.
What kept you persistent over that long?
I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing, and I was missing my family. So it was either you just find a way.
Yep.
Or quit and get a whole new career. So we ended up I bought another business. I was like, all right, I'll do a little bit of this one, and a little bit of this one. And then we kept accumulating rental properties. We took advantage of the market going to shit.
When everybody else is running in fear, there's opportunity there. I understand
Yes,
that.
I wish I would have bought hand sanitizer and masks and gloves.
Stock in Zoom.
I remember saying to my wife, this is crazy what's going on. What is going to take off? You need to buy stock in whatever that is. We
Yeah.
never found out though.
Every so often I'll look back because we've had Netflix since it was DVDs, right? They would
Right.
mail you DVDs in the mail. Popped up like if you had bought Netflix stock for the price of the monthly subscription since that time,
Sure.
what it would be worth today.
Oh.
And it was like 150,000 in
Nice.
stock is what it would be today. I was like, mother. If you don't know this company, why would you ever buy stock in it, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that you had another business that you started. This is something you and I have in common. When I talk to people, they're like, hey, what do you do? I actually had to go and find something to say
Right.
because I would start rattling off all the things and people would glaze over, and that's
Right.
not what they wanted.
Right.
They wanted a quick, easy thing. And so now today I go, yeah, we own a handful of businesses. And then I pause. And then if they really want to know
Right.
more, they'll ask more.
That's smart.
And I'll say 9 out of 10 people don't ask more. They're like, oh, that's cool. And then they look away, right?
Yeah.
And so legitimately, off the top of your head, what are your businesses that you have today?
Hess Home Inspection.
Yep.
Gills Cove Marina,
Okay, yeah, the marina.
a property we own.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So
So long-term, short-term, midterm? Which one?
that's both.
Oh,
It's long and short.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
because it's commercial below and residential above.
Nice. Okay.
And one's like an Airbnb, and the other one's a long term. Then there's River Rentals LLC. That's for our pontoon rental.
Okay.
That's one for the marina, and then there's that just covers that. And we have a cabin in Hatfield.
Okay.
Genelex Property Management
Yep.
takes care of that one.
Yep.
And I think that's it.
Okay. So we've got the home inspections, we got the marina, we got the pontoon rentals, and then we've got long-term and short-term rentals.
Yes.
Nice.
And storage.
And storage. I didn't know you had storage too.
Yeah, Gills Cove Storage. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So 6 different things, right?
Yeah.
And so when somebody starts talking about like, man, that seems like a lot. It is if you went from nothing to 6.
Yeah, that would be insane.
But when we just add 1 more, we add 2 more, and then we all of a sudden like diversify our own income that's coming in, it ends up, especially if you run it properly, being easier than getting up at 7 a.m., going to a job for the next 40 freaking years.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So on our side, we have the real estate. We consider that as its own business. We have House Hike Real Estate Media, which is taking photos for other realtors. We have House Hike Photography, which is drone artwork and drone photography and videography for a variety of things. And then we today have long-term and mid-term rentals. And then I just hired my oldest as a 2D animator with the intent that we will create a variety of products from that, whether they're going to be video game designs or courses or you name it. There's pathway for them as they're getting older and older.
How old?
My oldest is 15. Yeah. They came to me and they're like, hey, I'm looking to go get a job at Culver's. Will you be available to drive me there 4 times a week? And I was like, I think we can do something better here. And so they've always had a big passion for drawing and animation and those kind of things. And I was looking down this path of like, hey, how could we turn a learning opportunity into something that they're generating income and cover that kind of like hourly wage that you would get from a teenage part-time job,
Right.
but then would actually turn into something full-time, whether they
Right.
wanted to go work for a corporation or start their own business or just sell products.
Yeah. Imagine saying, "Oh, I've been running my own business since I was 14."
Yeah. I think most managers couldn't comprehend that.
Right.
But one of the cool things that we are dealing with in this current environment, right, with social media, YouTube, TikTok, and those kind of things, there are pathways like this that exist. And one of my favorite ones is, have you seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated one?
No.
So phenomenal movie, definitely recommend it. But there's a Lego scene in there where he goes into the like Lego world. That scene is done by an 11-year-old.
Really?
Yeah. It was an 11-year-old who learned a program, a 3D modeling program, who then was making all of these cool Lego YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then they went to him and were like, we need you on our team.
Yeah.
And he's
Wow.
like, sure. And so like by the time it was finished, he was 14, but he like that path didn't exist 20,
Right.
30 years ago.
Yeah. Imagine him going there and being like, "I'm 11.
Yep.
I can do this."
Yeah.
I've been like, "Get out of here."
Yeah. I mean, so, and like those paths exist. We don't have to do the go to school, get good grades, go to college, get good grades, then go sit at a 9 to 5, let's be honest, an 8 to 5 job anymore, right? Like there are other pathways.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that early on in the statement, you said, hey, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to go find something.
Yeah.
And there are those paths out there. That's cool.
I did want to do it. I didn't mind what I was doing, but then I had kids, and
Yeah.
then you don't see them anymore.
Yep.
And you find out, unfortunately, that you're just a number there and missing every event that your kid has ever had.
And then feeling bad
Yeah.
for like leaving work to go to that,
Yeah.
like the guilt trip of that. Like, no,
Yeah.
fuck off. Like,
Yes.
this is where I would rather be. This is where I should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I appreciated where it got me because it gave me the opportunity to do what I do now.
Yeah.
Being in a factory, you don't necessarily have to be doing anything. If it's not broke,
Yep.
it's running.
Yeah.
You're waiting for something to break.
Yep.
Now, you could be on your phone watching reels, or you can be on your phone going to school.
Yeah.
And I chose the latter.
Yep.
And I did it a lot.
Yeah.
So it was a great opportunity. I'm grateful for that part of it.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm glad it's gone.
There it is. I will say I'm the same thing with the military. Absolutely grateful for it. Glad I'm past that point in my life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. It's so cool to just every day that my kid needs me or my wife needs me.
Yep.
I can say yes.
Yeah. It was an unexpected bonus of being a business owner.
Right.
I didn't set out to be able to get to go to the doctors and dentist appointments all the time.
Right.
But it's been really freaking nice.
Yes.
It's been really nice.
That being said, there is a balance that still needs to be learned.
Yep.
Because I won't lie, I'm terrible at it. I'll be at home and I'll be on my phone booking an inspection or replying to a client, a customer, whatever. Yep. And then my wife will be like, or my kids will even be like, Dad. And I'm like, okay, yep, done. Put it away.
Yeah.
That's tough because you want to keep on top of everything.
Yeah. Well, especially when you own multiple businesses, right?
Yes.
Some things are critical, some things aren't. So you have to learn to prioritize that.
Right.
And then one of the things that needs to be prioritized is family.
Right.
And taking that time.
Because that's what you're doing it all for, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and you and I grew up with those 80s and 90s and early 2000s movies. And the corporate dad was always portrayed not there.
Right.
Like that was the moral of the story constantly being bashed to us was that, hey, dad's gone, but he's making money, so it's okay, but not really okay. And like, you can make a living and still be there for all of those moments, or at least most of those moments, right?
Yeah.
There's no expectation of like, it's 100% of the time that you make it to everything, but when you can, make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have kids sports right now, and like that is something that I love getting to go to, is to go to the sports, go to the tournaments, go to those things. And yep, every so often I'll have to step away and make a text or a call.
Yeah.
But I still get to be there for most of it, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I agree.
Ryan, obviously you're a home inspector. You and I have been working together for years now. I think you're actually like the first home inspector that I reached out to.
I remember that. It was on Sylvester Road, I think.
Holy shit. I can't believe you actually remember that. That was my first deal ever.
Oh, nice.
And so I didn't, wow. Yeah, that is a long time ago, 5 years now. And for us, when we're working together, right, what it is a referral. Nope, I don't want to go with that. What it is, nope. During the home buying process, what happens is a home buyer gets an accepted offer. I then recommend to them 2 different home inspectors that they reach out to, right? And generally my conversation with them is, hey, both of these guys are great. Text them both. Whoever can get in sooner, that's who we need to go with, because there's a time constraint with the home inspection and the home inspection contingency, right? From there, where do you take it?
That's when I get that text and I immediately try to respond to it, because I know that's what you guys are doing behind the scenes. Take the first one.
Yeah.
Because anytime I ask them, all right, when do you need this done by? And they say, well, as soon as possible.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yep.
So then that's when I take over and find the soonest availability and get them all locked in and loaded for booking the inspection and tell them it's all taken care of. And
Cool.
move on.
Nice. And then so day comes for the home inspection. Walk us through that.
I show up. The home inspection is going to take 3 hours probably. Yep. I tell them they can be there for the whole thing if they want. Rarely do they come for that. They come for the last half hour. That's when I'm finishing up. Then we can go over everything. The 1 or 2 people that show up because they're adamant they want to be there for the whole thing, they leave after 10 minutes and go get coffee.
Yep.
Because they're bored out of their mind. Yeah. So, but yeah, I walk through the house. I start at the top on the outside and work my way down all the way through every system, the roof, the attic, the exterior, the grounds, the garage, the interior, basement, crawl spaces, all that stuff, and follow the SOP and a little bit more if I can.
Yep.
And give them the best look at what condition that house is currently in.
Yeah.
And things they might be concerned about, which could be, do you want me to go into the...
Go for it, buddy.
So you could starts out with defect. That's the red flag. Costs a lot of money, or health and safety concern. And
Yeah.
of course, that's my opinion.
Yep.
Right. And everybody's opinion can vary. So I don't even know what that really means when you start to think about it, because something that costs a lot of money to me might be peanuts to somebody else.
Yeah. There's that perspective piece
Right.
there.
What
Yeah.
is it? What is it that actually matters? And that's the fun game that I get to play. But after that would be evaluation. Something that I say, if I saw the roof looks like it has hail damage, get a contractor out here to look at that.
Yep.
They would come out and say yay or nay. They'd
Okay.
agree with me. They'd say yes. And most people would agree a roof costs a lot of money.
Yep.
So that
Generally.
would bump that from evaluation to a defect. And then next would be repairs, something that's had some adverse effect on the property right now, like a leaking plumbing or something like that.
Yep.
After that would be recommendations, stuff that I see on the house that might not be having an adverse effect, but it could later.
Yeah.
Okay, I might see it on one house that does it happen to, but not this one currently. And I want them to be able to see something or be like, what is this? There's water leaking into the foundation.
Yep.
Did the inspector say anything about that or this corner? And then they can look, and hopefully I did catch something there.
Well, and you generally catch, I mean, everything.
I
And
try
that's
to.
one of the things that when I'm working with a home buyer, I am setting expectations before they even message you of, look, the home inspector's job is to tell you everything. He's going to send you 60 pages.
Yeah.
Do not be shocked. And I will
Yes.
say early on in my career, I didn't warn people or disclaim that to people. And then they would always like, oh my God, he sent us 60 pages. We need to run away from this house. No, you don't. And much like you said, that perspective piece is really important, right?
Yes.
What you may or may not see on the after the inspection happens is there's a really good conversation with the home buyer on like, okay, these things, are they concerns to you? Yes. Great. Here are the options that we have for it. We can ask the home seller to fix it, pros and cons to that. We can ask the home seller to give us money or to fix it, and again, pros and cons to that. Or we can reduce the price of the home sale, and again, pros and cons to that. And then finally, do nothing. No worries. We're actually okay. We're going to keep moving forward. Yeah, I think the home inspection process is absolutely critical. During COVID and everything else, did the home inspection change in any way or the market for it and how that worked?
I would say that was a difficult time though, because there wasn't a lot of houses on the market. So
Yep.
you already had plenty of people not even getting an inspection.
Yeah, which I think is crazy.
That is crazy. But during the process, it changed for me like the first few I did. I had gloves and I was
Okay.
wearing them and spraying myself and all that stuff, and nobody was there, and I was by myself, and I'm just like, what am I doing? This is
Yeah.
taking twice as long.
Protective stuff.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah. But other than that, it didn't change.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, during COVID, of course, we heard a lot about people not having home inspections so that they could have the best offer. To me, and again, every realtor is going to be a little bit different. To me, the investment of purchasing a home, I would rather you lose out on the deal than not have that home inspected, right?
Right.
Now, it's easy enough for me to say, I'm not the guy who's writing the check. But what I found is a lot of home buyers were really appreciative of that.
Right.
And they were willing to work through that process. Now, again, thankfully, I don't think I had any buyers that had to write more than 2 offers in all of COVID,
Okay.
right? So there are those horror stories out there of like, oh man, I had to write 22 offers to be able to get the house that we wanted.
Right.
Nope. We stayed consistent. We offered or requested a home inspection contingency. And typically by this time we made our second offer, we were good to go. We were doing good. So that didn't change my process in any way, other than just being open and transparent with home buyers of like, hey, this is what we're going to expect.
And I tried to give that information like you did, where you let them know it's going to be 60 pages. Some
Yep.
of them are 80. Some
Yep.
of them go over 100. If you got a house from the 1800,
Yeah. There's
I'm
a lot
gonna
of
find
stuff.
a lot of stuff. Right. and I continue to tell people it's been here for 150 years.
Yeah.
So just relax.
Yep.
And realize that I'm not coming in to tell you that's a good carpet color or these walls are pretty.
Yeah.
And I had an agent tell me to do that once. Yes. He said, you didn't say anything nice about the place. You should have put something in here. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna I'm gonna be charging twice as much if I got to go through the house twice and come back and tell you all the things I like about it. What good is that?
Well, that's interesting because I think you do in a way, right?
Okay, how
When
so?
you go through and when I look at your home inspection report, you have things that are rated good. And I would say the vast majority of things are good, no concerns, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm like, yep, cool. Don't have to worry about those. Don't have to worry about
Oh,
it.
so
Ryan
you're
covered it.
saying where it says inspected and there's no
Yeah. Yeah. No
repair
news is
licked.
good news.
Right. Yes, absolutely. That's important to realize. Yeah.
Yeah. But on the flip side, like what we're looking for out of that home inspection are things that we don't know and the homeowners may or may not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the stories that I refer to back often on like why I absolutely am adamant that you should have a home inspection, right? At the end of the day, every buyer gets their own choice, but I think you should. And we've worked on this one together. It was a property that the underneath the foundation was 60% eroded. The home seller didn't know, we didn't know, right?
Right.
And do you remember that one?
Wasn't it on piers or something?
I think so.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was underneath and you could see where it was washing out
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah, and it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so what it allowed us to do is you told us that, and we went back to the seller and said, "Hey, we need you to fix this
Right.
or we're going to walk away." Well, of course, the home seller did the right thing. They brought in an expert who mapped out a pricing of it, and it was going to be $40,000 on a $160,000 house. He's like, I'm not going to fix that. And we said, no worries. We're just
Right.
not going to stay here.
Right.
Right. And that's what the home inspection contingency is meant to do. It's
Right.
meant to save you those massive
Horror stories.
horror stories, is a
Yeah.
great way of putting it.
Yeah. You don't want to wake up the next day and find that your house is falling over, right?
Yep. Yep.
Usually that's not the case. Most of the stuff I find is minor stuff that
Yeah.
people are willing to fix. But the seller getting a $40,000 bill, that's got to be quite a shocker.
It was. Yeah. And I mean, like, nobody wants to find that, but I
No,
would rather
I don't
everybody
want
know.
to find it. No, because
Yeah.
somebody's going to be upset that I found it.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you that other realtor was pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the game I got to play is I'm going to piss off the other realtor and then he's going to be like, I'm not calling him ever.
Yeah.
He finds stuff. He does his job. I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Well, and so one of the reasons why I continue to go back to you is right off the bat, you're very responsive. Okay. Almost always you are the first one to be able to get into that spot, which is great. I love that. The second piece is you do allow the home buyers to come and look at that inspection. And I love the last 30 minutes thing. Hey, you get your job done. You're not distracted by anybody.
Right.
Then you can walk them through and have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, it's 60 pages. It's hard to consume all of that.
Right.
But you walking them through and going, this and this are things that you should be aware of. I absolutely love that. And then your report is clear, it's concise, it's got good photos. You've started to add in some video for certain things. I freaking love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you make it easy. You make it easy, and not everybody does.
Right. That's the goal is I want to make it easy because there's a lot of fluff in those reports. I'm not going to lie.
Boilerplate stuff.
Yeah, I got to cover my butt, and that's what it's designed to do. So I hate it. I don't like all that stuff in there. I'd rather just give you the bare facts, but it gets,
Yep.
all sorts of junk in there that nobody wants to read through. So it's really beneficial to have the person there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always all come, but most of the time they do. Sometimes they're on the other side of the country or whatever.
Yep, we do
So-
those a lot.
So sometimes I got to do the phone call thing or whatever it is, but we make it work and we try to help whatever the client needs.
Yeah.
To make it easier to understand. So they're not so scared and they run away immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, there's nothing happy about the report.
Yep.
It's just usually bad news is all it is. I
You
get a
didn't like
bad
the
news
carpet
report.
color?
No.
Well, and I've worked with a few of those buyers too, where like, again, setting expectations of, hey, we got the 60 pages back. And then they look at me and go, okay, cool. We want the seller to fix 100% of this. And you're like, we can ask them to do that. Absolutely. But we're still really in negotiations. If you ask them to fix 100% of this, they're going to say no. And then they're going to want to get out of this deal, right? If you want to get some of this stuff done, then we got to have a push and pull. Again,
Right.
negotiations of a compromise here. So yeah, that's really important.
Do you find that a lot of the When you come back when they say, I want to fix everything,
Yep.
do you come back and say, well, technically defect is the only thing we can?
No, I don't go into that. And the reason for it is defect means something to you and I. What I'm looking to resolve for unless it's a big thing, right? Hey, this is going to not allow us to buy the house
Right.
because it's X damaged or whatever, right? But what I'm looking for is, hey, buyer, what of these things are a concern to you? Because if they're a concern to you, they're a concern to me,
Right.
right? And I found over the years that is an easier conversation
Oh, nice.
rather than and a more manageable conversation for them to understand.
Right.
Like,
Can't fix this, but you can ask
yeah,
for this.
yeah, exactly.
But I want that.
Well, and like and there's certain things, and like we're talking in vague trees here, but let me walk through a few examples,
Okay.
right? Hey, the roof has damage. Okay, your recommendation to that is you should bring in a roofer to give us a better evaluation.
Right.
Okay. Hey, home buyer, that's what he's recommending. So it's not that we're asking the seller to fix that. What we're asking is, hey, seller, let us get more information, right?
Yeah.
What kind of damage is it? What can a roofer do? How quickly can they do that? Those are all factors into it.
Sure.
On the flip side, it could be something as simple as, hey, the heating element is out on the stove. That's a concern to us because that might cause X, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no worries. Or they have like a past history of it. Like oh, we had that and it caused this. Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
We can ask the seller to just replace that. Or we can ask for $100 in seller credits to go replace that on ourselves, right? And it's just working through what's those biggest concerns to them, while also me being aware of like, hey, these are concerns that maybe they don't realize are concerns, and then being supportive of that. Ryan, you talked about the erosion story.
Yeah.
That's my biggest horror story with the home inspection piece. Do you have something that is along those same lines?
Sure. One of my first inspections was a church south of here.
Okay.
The guy buying it was going to turn into an Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember when this was built. It was probably built 1800 somewhere.
Yeah.
Not a big church, stone walls, stick-built roof, obviously.
Okay.
And of course, I got to get into the attic and check that out. And
Yep.
I had to go up in the balcony. It's a typical church where it's a long building, and the back of the building has where the organ would be
Okay.
up top.
Yep.
So I go up there to find the attic space because no one knows where it is. And I find this hatch and I
Okay.
open it, and all I smell is old, musty
Oh
bat
no.
shit. So I'm like, man, this has got to be old
Yeah.
bat guano. So I'm like, I'm gonna get a mask, and I went and got my respirator, and my full respirator, and I walk through the attic, and it's really cool in there. But I get to the opposite end, and at the opposite end, it happens to be a peak above the altar, right? So the
Okay.
roof goes up to a single peak where what hangs out in
Yep.
the peak? Bats.
Yeah.
Well, they've been taking a crap there for, I don't know, 100 years,
Yeah.
and no one's ever gone in there to clean it out because why would they? There must have been 6 feet of bat guano
Just
on the floor of that attic. It was huge. It reminded me of Jurassic Park when they find that big pile. That's what it looked like. And I'm just like, at first I was like, that is insanely cool. And then I was like, I got to get out of here. This should not be going into my lungs. I didn't care that I had the respirator. And I took a picture of it, of course. I had to have that for marketing, right? I think
yeah.
my caption said, holy shit. And then, yeah, I got out of there. But that was insane.
Man. Yeah, and it's interesting when you talk about like why would they go in there and clean it? That is one of those things about owning a property that like we go back and forth on. Hey, should the seller have been cleaning that out every year or whatever it
Right.
takes? And then 20, 100 years goes by and like that maintenance still hasn't been done. And in this case, it's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, so often at homes, it could be something like paint, outlets, that one little crack in a window that nobody cared about for 20 years, right? Like
Right.
those things just, they add up when you live in a place.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially something that old. You're going to find all those little things.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do when you're buying something is have a whole list of things to do.
Yep.
I don't know what they ever did with that. I That's one of the things I don't like about being a home inspector is I never get any feedback.
Yeah, the
It's
closure.
very rare. I don't get to hear like, well, what happened with this?
Yeah.
I would love to know they had a whole team in there with scoop shovels or whatever they did, or
Yeah.
who knows?
Is there, and obviously it would take work, right? And then we're always, especially as a business owner, we're balancing out work versus ROI of that work, right? Is there a way to follow up with somebody 3 months later? Hey, did you ever end up buying that place? What about the batshit, right?
Right.
Like those kind of questions. And I gotta assume that there's some way to automate that.
Yeah, I suppose you could. I could, because we do have automation for after we do home inspection, 5 days later,
Yeah.
this email goes out. Give us feedback on how
Yep.
we did.
Well, and those feedback emails, yes, they're important, but they're also very dehumanized, right?
Yeah.
There's a very different
You mean
conversation.
they don't believe it's me sending that?
People don't even believe it's me in this chair right now with you. So,
They
like,
don't.
don't get me started.
But maybe I could reword something and have something that says specifically,
Yeah.
was there anything with, I don't know, the defects or what
Yeah.
in particular?
Well, even I think just starting the conversation of, hey, did you end up purchasing that, right?
Right.
So, and maybe I can help you here with this. Do you know how long it takes from your point to a normal closing?
No, I don't, because I usually get, it's 2 weeks, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons why we always tell them to get you in ASAP, right, is that normally it is from accepted offer to the deadline for the home inspection. So, report in hand, any negotiations, it's 15 days. And then from there until closing, it's typically about 30 days.
Okay.
So the total process is in between 40 and 45 days. It can be a little bit longer depending on stuff. It could be a little bit quicker depending on things. But generally speaking, it's about 45 days.
Okay.
So one of the things that you can do on your part to automate that is set a 35-day email based on that. Because you get their phone number and their email, right?
Yeah.
And so like, hey, we set up, hey, Bob, I did your home inspection. Did you guys end up buying the place? And then it's nothing more than that. That text goes out at 35 days.
Sure.
So I don't know what value that would add to you.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, I'm always going to be learning stuff. There's a heck of a lot that goes into home inspection.
Yeah.
So I can certainly be wrong about something. And
Mhm.
you try to see an issue and be like, all right, this might be caused by this.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
That's happened.
Yeah. That's
It might still
interesting.
be an issue, but what caused it?
Yep.
So there is that.
Well, especially since you're only seeing a snapshot of it,
Right.
right? Like here in this moment, we think these are indicators of this.
Right. And then I got to go on to the next thing
Yeah.
because they're coming.
Yep.
And I got to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
Because the homeowner doesn't want me there.
No, yeah. The
No.
homeowner doesn't want you there. The other realtor doesn't want you there.
Right.
I want you there. Keep doing your job, man. Doing great.
I love the fact that everything's so automated. It
Yeah.
saves me a lot of
Yep.
time.
Especially if you set it up right, and
Yeah.
then you can not think right on a
Right.
lot of those things. It just automatically happens.
Yeah, I just actually had to go in and change some of my verbiage on one of the emails sending out, like the reminder schedule one.
Yep.
Home inspection takes 3.5 to 4 hours. Well, 6 years ago when I was doing it, did.
Yeah.
Now I'm better.
Yeah.
So now I changed it. I put it down to 3 because people will be like, well, I'm not going to be there for another hour. I'd be like, shit, I want to go home.
Yeah. 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 Actually, that's a really good point because I was thinking it was taking you about 4 hours too. But now, earlier when you said it took you 3, I was like, oh, I got to adjust that on my side.
Yeah, it takes me less time to do it.
That's cool.
Unless I get a surprise and I walk into what they said 1,500 square feet and then I get a duplex. It's just like, well, a duplex, that takes me way more time.
Yep.
Double the appliances and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I get that. I do. The surprises are always interesting. Horror stories. Do you have another one off the top of your head?
I just did one.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
might have seen it because I posted a picture of it.
Yeah,
I
go
didn't
for
put the video on there, but I got to a house and of course I had coffee. It was a cold day. I had to go to the bathroom. So I ran in, went to the bathroom, and I look in the toilet and there's worms swimming around in the bottom of it.
Like earthworms?
I don't know what kind of worms they
Oh
were.
my
I just
God.
peed in it. I wasn't going to stick my hands in there and grab them. But then I was like, well, that's a new one. How do worms get into a toilet? So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, no one's walking around putting worms in a toilet. So they had to come from downstream somewhere,
Yeah.
but how are they getting there?
Yeah.
Right? So there must be some sort of break in the line,
Yep.
or maybe in the septic tank, something crawled in there. But how do they crawl up
Yeah.
a drain line that's dry?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's not dry, or maybe it's backed up, or maybe there's a crack in the line.
Yeah.
I have no idea,
Okay.
right? I know I can't flush it because I need to take a picture of it, or no
Yep.
one's going to believe. Well, there's
It's
worms in the
gonna
toilet.
gonna piss in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I take a picture of the yellow toilet and the bubbles in it, and a video. I was like, whatever. And I call a septic guy. I don't know everything. So,
Yeah.
and this is a new one, and I want to find out from the horse's mouth what this might be.
Yeah.
So, and I've had properties that, of course, need the drain lines scoped or whatever.
Yep.
And so I have a guy, like every home inspector does. I call him up and he says, that sounds to me more like a possible backup.
Yeah.
So they're coming in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. They're going with the flow as things are
Right.
backing
Yeah.
up. Okay.
So, or it's, it could be as simple as, a crack in the sewer line going out the lateral. What roots in the line and they crawled their way in that way.
Yeah.
Whatever. The only thing I know is you don't know until you scope that line.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the recommendation.
Yeah.
There was also signs of, staining at the base of the walls by the floor drain.
Okay.
Okay. So floor drain's connected to that. Backs up.
Yep.
Okay. So I got 2 signs now of possible backup.
Okay.
So I put that in the report. I say that's a defect because a new drain line is expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously. No one can argue that, I don't think.
Yep.
Well, somebody would. Come on.
People argue anything,
right?
But I gotcha.
Now, the interesting thing was I put that in there, and that place also had, the door from the house to the garage wasn't fire rated.
Okay.
There was like 3 doors on the place. It's
Yeah.
got a unique build, added on, whatever. The original door of the house was fire rated, so great. But the other 2 were just hollow core doors. Technically, you want.
Okay. I gotcha. So they added extra doors.
Right, because they
Gotcha.
added onto the house.
But they didn't add
and
the right kind of doors.
Right.
Yeah.
So I put that in there as well. I recommend you update this to current standards, whatever.
Yeah.
Not a great big deal, but, it's a safety concern, whatever.
Yeah.
They were more concerned about that than they were
The worms.
the worms.
Yep.
And I'm just like, whatever. I'm not going to try and tell you what you need to be concerned about.
And it's tough.
And the agent called me up and he said, looked into it. And their sewer guy said it could have come from anywhere.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Where's anywhere? They come from the ground.
Magically.
There's no worm fairy. I don't. But my thought was, okay, did you just tell me there was just worms, or did you mention the fact that there was staining around the walls?
Yep.
Because that's 2 signs. That
Yeah.
line should be scoped.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't know the whole backstory of it, and I
Yep.
don't want to accuse anybody of anything. But I know if it was my house, I would want that scoped.
Yeah.
But he said they're more concerned about the hollow
fire.
core doors.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna have big fires in their garage. I don't know.
Well, and it's one of those, in a perfect world, we'd be able to fix all of it.
Right?
And unfortunately, like in today's housing environment, you can't,
No,
right?
you can't.
And so we have to pick and choose and then work towards those resolutions.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's tough. The backup is always scary.
Yeah, you don't
'Cause-
know until you get that line scoped.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we talk about scoping, can you walk us through? Do you know how that process
Yeah.
works? Walk us through that real
Yeah,
quick.
I actually thought about getting my own equipment to do that, add it on.
Interesting.
But the equipment's expensive. It would take a while to recoup that. So I don't know. Maybe someday down the road.
Yep.
They literally take a camera on a cord and shove it down the drain line.
Yeah.
All the way down till it pops through to the septic tank or back to the city line or wherever it's going.
Yeah. And you're looking for defects in the pipe.
You're looking for a cracked pipe. Sometimes there could be it could be separated by a joint. It could have a belly in it where it's holding water.
Yeah.
So you could run right into roots. It might, we're half roots, so it flushes. But if you start flushing a lot or using the wash at the same time, then it starts creeping back up. And then the worms.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
gross. X-Files as a child
Yes.
fucked me up
Yes. I
because
used
they
to watch
had
that.
the cockroaches that would like fall into people and then just nope,
So bad.
nope.
Another thing on that is I also don't know, and sometimes you don't know, who the client knows. They could have a family of.
Yep.
And they'll be like, no big deal. If we need to put in a new lateral, I can do it in the afternoon. Just bring me up 30 pack of Busch Light. That's totally possible.
Yeah.
Because I've been to places where, I go on the roof and it's got 4 layers of roofing and the top one's shot. And I'm just like, this is red flags. I don't care about that shit. I'm a roofer.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I will say you probably don't ever hear about it. I hear about every buyer's friend,
Okay.
neighbor, uncle, all of them. Because they all fucking show up whenever there's like, we're looking through the house, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorites, originally from the Detroit area, right? So there's a few cultural things that like pop up here every so often. And one of the things that always throws me off when I first moved here was how many layers back of family history people just know about each other,
Right.
right? And so first year in real estate, go out to a property, I'm meeting a buyer out there, and they're like, hey, my dad and uncle are going to join us. Okay, cool. No worries. Easy
Yeah.
enough, right? Dad shows up, uncle shows up, and then the dad looks at me and he's like, who are the owners? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, they're so and so. He's like, oh, okay. Who owned it before them? And I was like, I don't know. I'll have to look, right? And so then he wanted me to go back 20 years in the like home history of ownership. And I was like, why? Why is this something you need to know right now? And what it was is like he knew who had owned it before so and so when he was a little kid.
Okay.
And so like he was just trying to figure out the history of the house. And I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. Like, and a
Why
lot of
is
this
this
stuff, like we can
valuable?
go find the information, but how does that help you decide to buy the property, right? Like that's what we're here for.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's just weird at times. So I appreciate you talking about as a business owner, right? Hey, I've thought about getting the scoping equipment, but it's expensive and it would take me a long time to recoup that cost. As a realtor and as just a homeowner and a landlord and all of those things, that is always one of those concerns of like, hey, I need to spend money. Like I do, just it
Mhm.
happens. But how long does it take to recoup it, right? And one of the things that I've really appreciated about being a drone photographer is how quickly I was able to recoup that cost and then continue to be able to profit from it.
Right.
There are a lot of business opportunities out there that your recoup time is 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's just, no,
Yeah.
no. We've talked about business ownership and like paths to get there, right? One of the things that I wish somebody would have at least explained to me a little bit better is how long it takes to recoup the cost of college.
Yeah.
I'm still paying
So
college
am I.
16 years later.
Yeah.
And yes, I've recouped that cost, but I have not paid off that debt yet.
No.
Like just it's sitting there.
I feel like that's just gonna be there.
I hear you. I agree with you. But I'm really fighting that feeling.
I
Like,
probably should be fighting it, but I've just ignored it for so long.
yep.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a comedian who talks about, I'm sure there's more than one who talks about it being their hidden mistress that they just send money off to every month. Like,
Or defer it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
What
It's
kind of
just,
deferments are available now? Sure. Yeah. Whatever.
yeah. It's one of our goals next year is to have all of our college debt paid off
Oh, good luck.
just in time to help my kids get into college in
Oh,
2 years.
yeah.
Like, yeah, stupid how long those exist for.
Yeah. I agree.
Yep.
It's hard to pay those. You don't walk out the door and get a job that can afford to pay them.
Yeah.
But you get a bill right away.
You do. Yeah,
Congratulations.
you really
On your
do. And
graduation.
unlike owning a home, your college debt isn't growing in value
No.
over time. It's literally diminishing in value
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go and purchase a home and you're spending $1,000 a month on it or 1,500 or whatever it is, some of that is actually going to equity
Yeah.
and some of it's going to pay down the loan,
Yeah.
right? And it's a very different mindset there. Those two expenses of, hey, if we would have bought a $100,000 house 16 years ago, that $100,000 house today would be worth 250. Would that have been a better option than just paying for college? One of my big projects going into 2025 is I have launched 10klisting.com. Instead of offering listing as a percentage, I'm doing a flat fee of $10,000.
Oh, okay.
One of the things when you say that you're doing a flat fee is, oh, you're a discount realtor and you don't do full service real estate.
Oh,
No, I am a full service realtor. I don't just put your house on the MLS. We have a full gambit of marketing with drone photography and drone videography
right,
and real videography and these kind of things and marketing your homes and all of those pieces,
right.
as well as then the negotiations, the project management, you name it.
Right.
And so that is full service real estate versus discount real estate.
Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I just purchased 10klisting.com at the beginning of December here. And then I am in the process of finishing up all of my marketing. So my yard signs come here in a little bit.
Right.
I finished the website here last week. Part of what I'm doing these video interviews for is so that I can brand and get the word out about 10K listing.
Right.
And yeah, part of the reason I went to Real is that Real Broker gave me the chance to actually show them my marketing plan on why I think I will make this successful in 2025.
Okay.
And they were like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
Really?
And they were super supportive of it.
So they don't require you to have an agreement, like a certain percentage that you make on a house or when you
Yeah.
list or sell?
So when you were listing a home with somebody, right? Hey, home seller, I want to list your home. We have a listing agreement.
Yeah.
In that agreement, what is, and we're not allowed to use the words normal or average, but what is normal is that we have a certain percentage that goes towards the listing fee.
Right.
And then there's a certain percentage that goes towards the buyer agent or the compensation to others. Now, I have been for years a 4% agent, which means when I sell your home, the brokerage earns 4% of the sales price. Now, home prices have continued to go up. They've skyrocketed here, right? In Holmen in particular, just 2 years ago, a $250,000 home is now a $350,000 home.
Right.
I don't think the home seller should pay more just because their home costs more.
Okay.
And so what I've been working on over the last few months here, and really I've been working towards this for the last year, but now I'm really honing in on it, is I've standardized my costs, my expense to list your home, such as the marketing, paid ads, the admin, and the transaction coordinator. Those are all things that have been able to stabilize the price. And so then I just add a little bit more on top for myself and my business expenses. And that's it. I'm not trying to price gouge. And so what that allows me to do is offer this flat rate. Now on a $300,000 home, that 4% would have normally been $12K that I would have earned.
Right.
Now I earn 10, saving you, the home seller, $2,000.
Right.
On a $600,000 home, that is $24,000. I'm now saving you $14,000
Yeah.
by just going to that flat fee. Now, of course, there's people out there being like, well, you're going to offer less services. No, I'm not. I've standardized my services so that they are the highest quality, and I'm going to still kick ass on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone with a over $300,000 house is going to want to call you.
Yeah. That's the goal, right? My goal here is that I'm going to help more people than I helped last year, which is going to be more than I helped the year before.
Is anyone else doing that?
No. And so this is crazy. So I love the fact that you're like, is anybody else doing this? When I started researching this, there are some flat fee things out there. No problem, right? They exist. But I distinctly was looking for, like, is anybody doing a $10,000 one, right? And no, they aren't. And the reason I know they're not is because 10klisting.com
Was available.
existed. Yeah. I was able to go and purchase the domain and then build my whole platform around it, right?
Yeah.
Because I was prepared to like figure out if I needed to like reword it and like do this or that. Nope. 10klisting.com. I've ordered stickers and merchandise and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was blown away that no one here was doing that.
Yeah. But you got to stand out. How many agents are in La Crosse area?
Yeah, in between 400 and 500. Kind
That's
of varies per the day.
I was going to guess 400.
Yep. So, and then I cover a pretty large area. I cover all the way from Pepin down the river over to Toma. Toma's about as far as I will go.
Yeah.
but I specialize in Holmen and West Salem. Those are
Okay.
my two biggest areas.
Sure. Good for you. You're always tweaking everything, looking for a niche. Where can I go?
Trying. Yeah, I'm excited about 2025, right?
Mm.
Like I have big plans for where we're going to go. One of the things that I'll have to balance out is that work-life balance that we were talking about of like not going to the extreme and finding a good balance there.
That's the trick.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks man for coming out. This has been awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
You can reach us on our website. We do have online booking there as well, so you can actually go on there and book an inspection right on the website. So HessHomeInspectionWI.com, or you can call me at 608-385-2795. Text or call anytime.
Cool, man. Thanks for
Yep.
coming out.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.